Good day, guys. How are we all doing? Hope we all good. So let's get started with this week's analysis. We're going to get started with B1000. I do have a buying bias from what we're already looking at. But anyways, we are going to do our multi-time frame analysis so that you can see where these setups are coming from. So we're going to start off from the weekly. I'm just going to clear the chart as well. Okay, so on my charts, the first thing I want is the 50 line on my TDI, the 50 level. So I'm just going to put that on. Okay, there we go. So if you look at the TDI here, this is on the weekly chart. We've been bullish, I think, let's check, since the beginning of the year, actually. Let's see. Yeah, since the beginning of the year, we've been bullish. So we're just going to follow the price action which we're seeing from the higher time frames. So from the weekly candles, if you zoom in, this week is already this week is already bullish, as you can see. So I'm just looking for a continuation to the top side, and I think these are the all-time highs as well, which are being set. So for now, we're leaning on buys. So we're going to drop down to the daily time frame. You can see we have a nice rejection of the Dayton EMA. This shows that we are actually bullish. So from the beginning of the month, we pushed up, retraced, pushed up, retraced. So this is potentially a continuation. So we're looking for price to push back towards these highs, and if we do break, we'll continue to set all-time highs before we get any form of a reversal. So again, from the daily, I would say my bias is bullish. If you also look at it this way, this bearish candle here before this impulsive push up, this makes this an order block as well. Plus this Payton EMA support zone, I'm looking forward for that push up. So bias from the weekly and the daily is bullish. We drop down to the 4-hour, see if we can have some zones which we can draw there. Okay, let's see. So on the 4-hour, you can just draw your visible support and resistance levels. So this gray area, you can see I'm taking these highs of this particular week. So if you have your 4-hour chart on and you've got this period separators, they just represent the week's move. So this is from Sunday to Saturday, Sunday to Saturday. So from these equal highs, price came, broke, retested, pushed up. Then they bounced off again off this area, which makes it a strong support zone. So like we said, from the daily, we're looking for price to come towards these highs. These are the highs from last week. So we are going to mark those highs as well. So right now we're marking points of interest. Right, so we've got this level. Then I'm just going to extend this one a little bit more. So that we can just cover this whole week. So for this week, we started off at this support zone. We pushed up a huge impulsive move. So again, two things can happen. Price can continue pushing up based on the bias we have, or they can retrace a bit before they continue pushing up. So if they do retrace, what points of interest do we have within this impulsive move for us to actually buy? If you're using moving averages, Dayton EMA is a dynamic support zone. 50 EMA is also a dynamic support zone. So if price comes and bounces off there, we'll be looking for a buy. Same applies here. So based on the 4-hour, I'll say those are the 2 points of interest. If we drop down to the H1 now, okay, maybe you might want to run a fib from the last low, which broke a structure to the highest high. So this is the last low before price pushed to break this high. So we're going to move up with it until the highest high we have, or the top of this move. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so we're going to mark the highest high, trigger or fib. So based on the fib now, a fair retracement can potentially drop down to as low as the 38.2 fib retracement, or as low as the 50, 61.8, or the 70.5. This is a point of interest, this whole range. So if you look to your left, you also see that these were the initial highs before this high was broken yesterday. So that makes it a level, a resistance level which was broken and can potentially become a minor support zone. So this is a zone within that 4-hour range which we have. So looking at price now, we know that this is a point of interest, but again, if there's momentum in the price can still just push up from this current market price. So I'll say points of interest. I want to see how we behave around this area. Excuse me. So I think I'll drop to M15. But before we drop to M15, I want you to just take note that we're going to leave this fib on this chart just to see how price plays. So if we do come down and react here, here, or here, we'll be looking for buys from those areas if price holds. At the same time, price can still just push from here. So if we get a break of this high and a retest, I'll be looking to take buys from this area as well. So dropping down to the M15, I just want to see the position of the 50 moving average here, 50 EMA. TDI is well above the 50 level. So as long as the whole TDI is above the 50 static, the whole TDI like this, as long as it's above the 50 static, just know that your price will be bullish. So that's why I'm saying price can potentially just push from here and continue pushing up without dropping down to those points of interest which we have. So for B1000, I think we'll just keep an eye on it. We'll keep stoking, and I'm going to leave it on H1 so that I can just pay attention to how price will be moving. If we do break, I'll be looking for a buy coming back up to this resistance level. So we should be able to catch at least 50 to 110 pips on this particular play if they move from the current high of the day. But if they come deeper and we get a pattern, that means we'll actually get more pips. So let's say they drop down as low as the 50 level. We'll be looking forward for at least 300 pips on this move. So we'll just keep stoking on B1000. Then going to B5. B5, I already have one position in current market price. I already have one position. So we're just going to do multi-time frame analysis on this one as well. Just going to clear the indicators. So we can start looking at it together. So let's see object list. Okay. Again, the first thing I just put on my charts is the 50 level on my TDI. So this just helps me visually to know where price is going. So just take note, like I said, if the whole TDI is above the 50 static, if the whole indicator is above here, just know that we will be bullish. And if the whole indicator is below, as you can see here, this whole area, price will be bearish. So the only thing you'll be looking for is a pattern. As you can see, we're creating lower highs and lower lows on that particular area until the TDI came back above the 50, then the trend started to change. So that's just a side note if you're using the Traders Dynamic Index. So as you can see, we've been bullish for a couple of weeks. Price was actually coming from this particular order block here. So I'm just going to mark it correctly. It was on 4,900. So price started pushing up from the order block at 4,900. All right, we can all see that. So right now, I feel like price is most likely pushing up back towards this high. And with time, we're going to see price maybe take out liquidity before it actually retraces. Because for me, this looks like there's a lot of momentum right now in this bullish move. There is a lot of momentum here. So I would say price is most likely coming towards 66.50, 66.50. All right, so this is my setup for now. We're coming from this order block on the bottom, we're going back towards the top. So when you jump down to the daily, I want to see, you can also see there's been a bullish order flow since the beginning of the month. We just had a short pattern here where price was actually consolidating around this area. Then we were bouncing off that dynamic support. So remember, if you're using moving averages, no matter what moving average you're using, if you see your price reacting of that area, just know your moving average is a dynamic support zone. If price is coming down, there need to be a dynamic resistance, like here where price was pushing down. If price bounces, it's like it's a resistance zone where price is hitting and pushing down. So currently we've been pushing up, although we are sort of buying late into this daily move. For today, I feel like we should be able to get the pips we want. So if we zoom in, like I said, I've got one position in current market price here. I'm looking for one good or maybe two good bullish days with candlestick ranges or candlestick sizes like this. So here you can see these daily candles were a bit short. Then before we got that retracement, we had two strong pushes up before price decided to retrace. So here, if we can have those two pushes up, maybe coming in to take out liquidity here before we get that retracement for a potential continuation. That's my current view for B500. So with that bias, I'm going to drop to the 4-hour. You can see last week was very strong bullish, no deep retracements. We simply had a break of structure here. From there, we had a strong push. Price is not even interacting with the 13 EMA until we got here. So that shows that there's a lot of bullish momentum. So if there is a retracement, it might be short. So that means if we can get a buy pattern right now, we can simply jump into the trade. So jumping to 4-hour, you can see 4-hour, sorry, to the H1, you can see from yesterday, price is bouncing nicely off the 13 EMA. And right here, this was today's open price. This is yesterday's highs. So we are sort of on a point of interest where I feel like if we can get that push up, nice solid close here, this price will actually continue pushing up. That's my current bias. So this is what's going to happen. If price decides to push down, my stop loss is just below the last H1 candle. So that I think that will be the best stop loss, or just below the open price. You can see also this looks like it's an order block for me. So if we come here, price might take us out, but we'll still want to keep an eye because price has that potential to keep pushing up. Why are we saying so? If you look at the TDI again, let me zoom in. It shows that we're actually in a bit of a bullish state. From here, the whole TDI is above the 50 static, right? We agree. So from that whole point, we're looking for buys. If you see price coming down and the TDI is above, just wait for price to bounce on any point of interest. It can be an order block, it can be a fair value gap, it can be a moving average. As soon as you get a pattern, you can execute buy because your TDI will be showing you that the price is bullish. So here, buys, 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 buys. Right. So again, sometimes B5, the way it moves, it pushes up and it gives deeper retracements. So if you're trading B5, another side note is do not have multiple positions or do not buy it a bit late into the move. Try to get it as it is taking off from the point of interest so that you can actually catch into the move. In case they do a deeper retracement, you won't really be holding any loss. So drop down to M15. Right. The reason I only have one position right now is because I still want to see what they want to do. As much as we can push up, price can still decide to come take out these lows, maybe interact with this order block here. They can do that. You can see this was the high from Saturday. This Saturday, this is Sunday, this is today. So this high from Sunday, you can see is still a point of interest. So price can decide to do a deeper retracement, take out all these lows here, take out all that liquidity before they actually push up. So here we only have one so that we can manage the loss. Then if we come and respect this area, then we can have multiple positions. and scaling as price continues to break yesterday's high, pushing up. So I'll say that's my current view for B500 for now. I'm just going to keep track of it and see how they act. This area is very hot for a buy limit as well. As long as we don't come below the zone, I feel like price can still push up. So we can push up from here, we can push up from here. But your stop loss has to be at least below today's open price or below the 50 EMA at least for that one runner. Right, so that's my view for B5. So we did B1, B5, C300. What was I looking at? All right, let me just clear the chart again. Okay, first things first, we're going to put our 50 level on the TDI. Right, here's another side note of the TDI, because some might say, we've mentioned if the TDI is above the 50 static, it means we are bullish. If we are below the 50 static, it means we are bearish. But what if the TDI is like half on top and half on the bottom, and the 50 static is in between? That simply means your price is trading within a range. It's trading within a range. They'll simply have to come back down, up, down, up. So again, that's a side note. So if you are using TDI or if you're using RSI, because this is just like an advanced version of RSI. If you're using RSI, it's the same thing. If your RSI is trading above the 50 static, you're mainly looking for buys. If your RSI is trading below the 50, you are mainly looking for sells. If your RSI is trading above and below like this, it just means your price is trading within a range. So do not buy at the top here or do not sell at the bottom, because this indicator will just be showing you that your price is in a range. Rather look for buys on the lows and look for sells on the highs. So looking at this price action for now, you can see TDI, there's nothing too clear here. And again, this is the daily. So for me, this is a range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the high of this particular range. I'm just going to use this high here, drag it into the future, and I'm going to mark the low. So this is a range for this particular month, right? Since we're on the daily, this is a range for August. So as soon as we come out of this range, I feel like that's when we're going to get the best setups. For C300 personally, if you're following me, you know I only look for sells on the crash and I only look for buys. So if you are trading vice versa, or if you're trading both ways, just have the same thing as a guideline. If we come back above, the price will most likely trade back towards this high. Then if we come below, price will most likely trade towards this low, or at least towards this moving average here. So inside here, anything we take here will be scalping. Anything we take inside here will be scalping, because from the daily, price is actually in a consolidation. So we're going to drop to H4, or actually, I don't think I spoke of the weekly here. Okay, weekly as well, you can see there's not much happening in terms of direction. Price is right on the what you call this? It's right on the near the 50 and the 13 EMA, which is a dynamic support zone. So these gray zones, I'm actually going to put two red lines because I've noticed something on the weekly. I just want to mark the high of last week, and I want to mark the low of last week. Those are our points of interest. So anything inside here, we are trading within a range. We're looking for sells at the top. We're looking for buys at the bottom if you're trading both ways. Then if we do break, we'll be looking for maybe for price to come somewhere to these lows. If we break to the top side, for reference, I'll say I'm looking at this high. But at the same time, I also have this point of interest within that range, which is a high from this particular week here. So from there, we'll decide where price will be going. So I'm looking for something like this. If we do break, then we might come up here. Then on the bottom side, I'm looking for something like this. Or within this range, price can simply do this. They can come take out liquidity here, and then push back into the range, or they can do the same to the top. They can take out liquidity here, then push to the bottom side. So if you struggle, like we're looking, getting direction, just mark the range of the candle. Like for example, if you see here, we had the same price action. So on this particular one, you can see price actually came, broke the bottom, I think it retraced, then it pushed down. So if that happens, that's where we'll be getting a pattern like this. If it happens to the top side, we'll be getting something like this. So that should sort of guide you. You just simply have to look at previous price action. When your price was consolidating, what happened after that? When my price was consolidating, what happened after that? Same applies here, consolidation, what happens after that? So clear price action, however, will be available on the smaller time frames. So I'm going to put the exact prices here. We're going to use 35.95. 35.95. Okay, 96. Anyways, that's the bottom of the range of last week's highs. Or you can simply put your lines on the, if you jump to 4 hour, you see the zones are also very clear from there. So from the 4 hour, you see, let's just drop this. Okay, this was last week's, sorry, this was last week's high and this was last week's low. So you can see we're still trading within that range set last week. So anything in here might be tricky, but best setups will form around here and the best setups will form around here. So I think that's it for C3. There's nothing much to talk about there until price gets to our points of interest. So I'm just going to make this line straight as well. So that's 41.75, 41.75. That's the high of last week, which is also a point of interest. So this, we're going to leave it on the 4 hour so that we keep stoking. C1000 looks like it's bullish. Before we even mark anything out here, we're trading about the 13 EMA, so it looks bullish for me. I'm going to quickly come back to B1 because since we are stoking, we still need to keep checking how these candles are closing. This one, I'll leave it as well on H1. This one on H4, C1 bullish. So daily usually gives us a clue. So on the daily, we are bouncing off the 200 and the 13 EMA. If we zoom there, that's a dynamic support zone. So price will most likely push up. What we're going to do here, I'm going to clear the chart again. Okay, 50 static. Okay, where is our trend going here? So based on the TDI, it's not really above the 50. So for me, price could actually continue pushing down. So based on that bias, it's coming off this huge impulsive move here. So I'm saying if we are to come down, you can see price is right in the point of interest, right? So if the current daily candle turns bearish, if it turns red or black, depending on the colors or on your colors, if it turns bearish, I'll definitely be looking for a sell based on this view. But if it remains bullish, I'm not participating in this particular trade. So if I jump to H1, you can see we are bullish here. So I'll just be paying attention to how they want to react on this particular level here or this high and how they will react on yesterday's open price. So these are sort of guidelines which help me decide whether price is now retracing. Again, there's no reversal candle here showing that I can sell. So that means I do not have any sell setup at the moment on C1000. So I'm just going to leave this one on the daily so that when it turns bearish, I can now jump on the charts. Going to C5, which is the last asset I'm looking at. Okay, on C5, let's see, looks like, okay, you can see I drawn this channel here. So let me see if you can see. Okay, let me just clear the chart. Going to clear this. Okay, so based on the price action, there is a potential that price could come down. At the same time, we are right on the 13, the 50, and the 200, which is a dynamic support. So We can only consider sells if we get a nice close below that zone. So we still need today's candle to close before we even consider sells. Otherwise, this price can actually continue being bullish. So for now, I would say I'm going to put that trend line back there. I do not have a nice solid close above the trend line as well. So that keeps me on edge in case I see something showing me that I can actually sell. Then I can execute a sell. So from these lows here, just completing that channel there. Then again on the TDI. So on the TDI, you can see we sort of above the 50. So that gives me that view that price can actually just continue pushing up. That's possible. So in terms of bias here, it's not clean. There's no clean bias. So if there's no clean bias, your best time frame always has to be the H1. So when you come to H1, you're looking for price to be below the 13 EMA for you to execute sells. So based on H1 again, what do we have here? We had a nice rejection here at the top. So if we had seen this at the top here, we might have taken a quick scalp right there. So right now, we might get a short retracement, we might get a push down, or price might just bounce off here because if you notice, we do have an order block. So I'm going to zoom in there and highlight this order block here. So that order block here is going to guide us. Based on the current price action, we can most likely push down. But if we're going to push down, where are we coming towards? We're coming probably towards the 800 EMA. That will be a target, which is around 42.60, and it's also 60 pips, which is good for a trade. If we are to retrace back up, where is our point of interest? I would say maybe we might get something right there. Let's see if we do have something. So if you look at the M15, it's an order block right here. So we had a nice impulsive move. If we can retrace up here and bounce off this level, then we can look forward to take a sell. We're only scaling after we break this level. So we're going to have one position here. Then here, that's where we end because the pattern will be complete. That's the first scenario we have. Price can also do this. So the first bounce can induce early sellers. Then they might come take out that high and bounce off this moving average. You can also see there's an OB right there. So they might still come back up here. Then here, remember, there will also be an OB. So if we do break that OB and show signs of coming down, then we can still scale in. But the thing is, if price comes here and rejects, we're going to have one position. Stop loss simply has to come outside this range. If price retraces up here, your stop loss has to be outside this order block here. So your stop loss has to be somewhere in here for one position. Then if price shows that it's now coming down, then maybe you can add a second position. Then if we break this level, you can add a third, and we wait for price to drop towards 42.60. But if you can get 50 pips off this move, I feel like that will be a good setup. But again, you just want to keep attention to how price will react if it actually retraces. So if they throw another candle here, that will mean we have missed the impulsive move. We still have to wait for a potential pullback. So if this price drops, we have to run a fib. Once we run a fib, then we can look forward for a reaction either here, here, or maybe here. That's how I'm looking at it. If we break this, we break this, we break this, then this price will most likely continue pushing up. So that's my view for C 500. We're going to leave it on M15. So those are the points of interest of the assets I'm looking at today. C5 waiting for a retracement. C1 waiting for the daily candle to turn bearish. C3 waiting for price to come all the way up or to the bottom. So for C1 and for C3, we still have to wait. B5, we want to see how we're going to react right on the open price there because we are on a dynamic support. If you notice, price actually has been failing to break this level, right? So once we get another nice H1, which is bullish, then we can look to scale in. But for now, we can just manage one position. Then B1000, we are stoking. Price can potentially retrace all the way into these fib levels, but we should just actively stoke on it and see where we can get an entry. So if I'm online, if I'm on Telegram, when these setups drop or when these setups form or complete, I'll actually share the signals. But if I'm offline, just know that all these points of interest are marked. I hope they can just help you towards trading today. Then I'll try to give feedback maybe later on in the day. Then in the afternoon, we'll be dropping our New York live session trading. I think that will be at 4 p.m. SA time. So those trading currencies, we can plug in on Zoom for a live trading session at 4 p.m. SA time or GMT +2. This is for New York trading session. We can just plug in at 4 p.m. This is also going to be a live trading session. So again, today is Monday. If there is a setup, we trade. If there is no setup, we'll just mark the charts and we'll call it a day. So that's it for me today. I don't know if there's any questions. If not, the session was also recorded, so I'm going to drop it on YouTube. My network might have been a little bit slow during the Zoom, but I think since we recorded, it will just come out good on YouTube. So thank you for joining, bro. It's been a while. I've been away for a while, but I'm back now. I'm back in action. So yeah, if I'm on Telegram, I'll also share the signals. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.